70s, we have wild events happening. We have all these countries that are only white countries open up the floodgates without any voting taking place. There wasn't really any voting. Someone knocked down the doors and they flooded these places. And then they hit all the social engineering weapons. Well, someone had to finance that. There's a clear targeting. Only white children. It's a clear targeting. They're targeting a genotype. You can't do that under the law. You walked into a lettuce patch. It's very dangerous stuff. I'm going to fill you in on this stuff. But when I give you a talking point like there are no social constructs under international law, you can use that. Use it over and over again. The more you use a talking point, the more dangerous it becomes. Am I saying that someone's getting geared up to go after someone? Most of you saw all the complications with Russia and you don't know what's going on. Well, the Russians have the foremost archives of any intelligence agency post 48, and there's other groups too. They got rooms full of this stuff. You can't go on the record and target little white rabbits. It just doesn't work like that under international law. Most people don't understand that. Your enemy does. It's ruthless stuff. You can weave velvet ropes for days on end, and it's the law. And there's no voting. There's no voting. It's not a vote. You don't get a vote. You don't need a lawyer. You forget your lawyer. Get a priest or get a violinist. The gavel's going to sing, and it's going to sing Swing, Rabbit, Swing. Saddam Hussein can't say the Kurds were a social construct. It doesn't work that way under international law. Timothy Weiss always goes on record. All these anti-racists go on record because they've been brainwashed by all these social engineering schools. And some of them just have it in for little white rabbits. But they've been brainwashed. Jane Elliott is a walking human rights violation under the right conditions. But that's what there's a lot of fear over. You cannot target. You cannot go there under international law. There's been a clear targeting. And heaven forbid someone have the goods, the whole shabazz on who financed it and and they were actually targeting. Like someone says, we got to get rid of them to have our particular plan go forward, or we got to blend them out of it. You can't go there. It doesn't matter that it's not mustard gas. It doesn't matter. Any attempt to harm, any attempt to target, any attempt to harm, if you're crazy enough to say it. You see, Saddam Hussein he didn't say it. He just did it, and it was a war, but it didn't matter. International law is that ruthless. Maybe you've been in the military, and you've seen all these guys in the upper military all of a sudden get afraid over tribunals or ICC-type courts. They scratch their heads. They start getting nervous. There's something to be nervous about. You can get targeted. If you're called into that, it doesn't matter what you are, someone's going to line you up, and there's not going to be any voting. You see, that's practical politics is all non-voting. Full spectrum practical politics may involve voting, but generally not. But that's something you need to be aware of. Fear is useful, and there's a lot of fear in this stuff, and they're aware of something for a reason. Something's going on. And we need you on particular talking points for a reason. So if we open up our mouth, let's open up our mouth and make it an exercise in power, or don't open up your mouth at all. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're some undercover lover sitting out there and you don't know what to say, don't say anything. If you want to, but of course this is dynamic. If you want to, you're in an area after demoralization starts coming off, after it's been normalized for 15 years, you might be able to use these run for office and anything can happen. If you get visible, someone can throw you in. That is follow the white rabbit. That is how things operate. You may see some situation ensue, and you hear follow the white rabbit over your wideband radio from your police station. You see cops following the white rabbit. Next thing you know, you end up hitting a talking point. Use your imagination. That is full spectrum practical politics. Yes, you end up running the whole police station or something during something. Use your imagination. But follow the white rabbit is where everything begins. Hitting a talking point, staying on point. Are there organizations that are going to do this and you're going to hear? Yes, you're going to hear this all across the place. You're going to hear variations of it. Pay attention to it. Even if you're not saying anything, pay attention to it. Open your ears up to a different game. And we can play this at a level that is, you can play it at a level, any level you want or not. I don't really care. I'm just putting it out there for you. I know that most of you won't do anything. I know that. The masters are asses. It only takes a couple. One person stopped them from force integrating private schools. Bob Whitaker. 3 people did force busing across America. One person fought it. One person developed wide sky techniques to enforce busing in certain areas. That was Bob. In other words, there was a lot of places that used tactics that Bob developed. They didn't say it. They just did it. And they made sure people didn't get busted in their area. That happens too. That happened. By the way, the Mexicans did some of that in California. They didn't say it; they just did it, because if they said it and they voted on it, it would go to court. You know what to say. They didn't just say it; they just did it. But that happens all the time in politics as well, on a local level. But you need to have this at your disposal, and we're gonna again continue this conversation. Follow the White Rabbit is a game that teaches you practical politics, because it's non-voting. Voting politics falls into conventional politics, but practical politics is necessary for you to understand conventional politics or full spectrum practical politics, which can involve engaging and taking down a system, an enemy, by any means possible within the rules, but never breaking the rules. We don't have to break any laws here. It's just a matter of getting on point, staying on message. If you have an organization and you want to repeat the talking points, that's wonderful. You want to there are no rules to what we do. You only think there are rules. There are no rules to geography for me. Me a white rabbit, you a white rabbit. We don't have rules. You're going to hear associates do this, and you may hear Italian politicians hit in Italy. Who knows what you'll hear? Pay attention. You may hear across, you could hear things trigger. A trigger is when you're going to hear a talking point and you'll know what to do. Why? You're smart. You're smart. If you make yourself visible at the right time, if you want to become visible, you do it by hitting a consistent message for people. That's the way that works. I know what you're saying, that you're worried about becoming visible and getting picked up. Many of you full fear. Half the alphabet agencies don't know where the other half are at. But if you're fearful, don't worry about it. Just sit back and relax. Play a different game. But in a certain situation, it'll become rather obvious. There's nothing for you to be afraid of. But if you're opening up your mouth already, you might as well have the best talking points money can buy, and that's what we do. I'll give you one for the economy, one to go. China is 91% Chinese. If China tried to make itself non-Chinese, don't you think China would collapse? America in 1965 was roughly 89% Indo-European. America tried to make itself non-European. America has collapsed. America's manufacturing system has collapsed. Why do you think that is? You made your point. If you're on camera, you make your point, well, you're going to get big cookies. You're going to get forget the cookies, you're going to get the big carrots. We want you to have the best talking points money can buy, and we have that. You have that at your disposal as of right now. Use it. If you have a radio show, or if you just use these talking points, you never know. You may see your donor list bump up or something. That's already happening. You will never meet me, so there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees to how this works, but you're already a white rabbit. Me a white rabbit, you a white rabbit. You're wearing your fur, rabbit. But you can get carrots. You can get visibility. If you want to be visible, we have to know who you are, what you are when the time comes. Use your head. Yeah, white rabbits are going to have big brains, or you're not going to be able to play this game. It's that simple. I don't worry about stupid white rabbits. They don't survive. You can also get promoted. Yes, you can get promoted. You see, there's no voting in a promotion. Yes, if you see Follow the White Rabbit being played at work, you can get promoted. Sure, it happens all the time. There's no voting in Follow the White Rabbit. It may involve voting, but there's no voting. There's no voting at your job when you get promoted generally. There's certainly no voting when you get promoted playing Follow the White Rabbit. That's how this stuff works. These are velvet techniques, but I'm just introducing you stuff. I'm just introducing you this stuff. I'm the voice, and we'll continue this conversation. Again, Follow the White Rabbit is a game that teaches you practical politics. When we open up our mouths, we make an exercise in practical politics, an exercise in power, not an exercise in stupidity.